And all right, and we are back. Go for it.
All right,
I
cool.
apologize, chat.
No worries, no worries. So here, uh, environment art is a huge thing. Basically, you're kind of split into two worlds in 3D art. You've got character art and environmental art. And environmental and prop modeling is kind of how it's referred to, because environmental art includes the same tools and mentality that you approach prop modeling with. There's lots of work out there in this if it's something that you love. And in particular, this Houdini thing. I have a former student who's kind of an expert in Houdini, has given some talks at conferences for them, and he was developing levels for a game, and he basically generated like a genetic algorithm in Houdini to just generate levels over and over again. And he'd sort of pick a couple he liked, and then it would generate some more, and pick a couple he liked, and
Excellent.
it
Yep.
generates some more. And in like, I think in an afternoon, he made 70 levels for their game that would have taken him months to do by hand. So Houdini's super cool for that. And there's both an indie version and I think a student version of Houdini. This is a piece of concept art done by our faculty member Ricardo Guimares. He has done like both concept art and finished artwork for things like the Deus Ex series and other things that Square Enix did. And he's just kind of constantly working, doing contract jobs. We ended up hiring him directly out of Buenos Aires, Argentina. And if you think it's hard to get a game job out of Michigan, try and get a job out of, so anyway, game designers, what game designers do. They make things. But in particular, there's level design and system design, which are two halves. I'm sure that Austin's talked to you about that kind of stuff. Yep. And programming. Y'all know how to program. It's awesome. There's this whole thing about how my career did not go where I thought it was going to go. The real key thing here is just that ever since basically everything that is highlighted here is something where I didn't know, something where somebody got me the interview, or I followed somebody else somewhere, and that was a really big deal. Just stick to your friends, and it's okay for your friends for your career to change and all that kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. Here, this is what Austin wanted me to show you. This is our main lab in the building. We've got a bunch of PCs that are actually now set up to where we can remote desktop into them, so I can teach my Unreal level design class next semester. Still haven't tested all that, but that's that's the plan. Oh, hey, there's me in the corner too. Oh, and here, you see the girl with the cat ears? I don't know if you can see my mouse. You can't see my mouse, but the girl with the cat ears, she got picked up by Sony Santa Monica Studio as a rigger straight out of college, which they never ever do, except they were expanding for the next God of War game, and so they brought her in straight out of college, which is phenomenal. She's working there now. Yeah, this kind of stuff. Okay, cool. So and this is what I was talking about, like the sort of this core sequence where we have kind of a intro class, 445, just get to know people, get working with people, that kind of stuff. I teach 455, which is rapid game prototyping. Now I'm probably want to change the name to basically rapid game previs or pre-production. And then 497 is the one I'm teaching now that I talked about. 498 is another semester-long class, but in that, the 5 teams, you get 5 new teams, and each team is partnered with somebody in industry at studios like Iron Galaxy, Bungie, that kind of stuff. And they meet with you once every week or two to give you feedback on the game and guidance on the game. So you're working with somebody in industry there, and it's a great way to kind of get some visibility in the industry. And there's lots of amazing electives that we have. Anyway, it's basically we are able to do things that U of M can't.
I'm so jealous
because they haven't put money into it, right?
Yeah.
This is our GEL lab, the Games for Entertainment and Learning lab. This is a huge selling point for students because this is a job you can get. We're a public school. 85% of our students have jobs while they're in school. What the GEL lab allows us to do is hire some of the best of them. And I apologize that this picture happens to have only guys in it. That is certainly not the case in the gel lab. This is a photo somebody else gave me. They thought that Dewey looked cute in the HCC Vive, I think. But we hire anywhere between 10 and 30 students, depending on how many projects we have. And they work on and release projects for clients. And so rather than, and you get paid a little bit better than you do to work at a sandwich shop, but you get game development credit and you get to have released titles that are on the iOS App Store and the Android Store that is on your resume, which is huge. And yeah, that's all the stuff that I just said. Yeah, great. Okay, so that's my thing. That's my deal. I'm going to stop screen sharing. There we go. Cool. But what questions can I answer for you, and was this helpful at all?
Yeah, this was very helpful. So I want to give the chat a little bit of time to ask a few questions. We're running a little bit short on time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is super, super cool. And I have to say, like, I've been to MSU's facilities and I've seen the Gel Lab a few times. Like, it is a uniquely awesome opportunity, right? To be a student, be learning constantly, to be in that community, right? Surrounded by people who are not here for a computer science degree, right? With a little bit of game dev on the side. No, they're here for game dev, right? They want to work in the industry. They want to make those impactful, emotional experiences. You're going to learn super fast that way. In the Gel Lab in particular, the really cool games you've put out, you've got faculty working together with students, working together with external studio stakeholders, just spectacular stuff. I'm super jealous. I'm super happy that you've got this going.
And we actually, just this year, basically at the beginning of this calendar year, we implemented the new game and interactive media major. And again, this is an undergraduate major, but before we were just media and information, and it kind of covered everything. And now we've got games and interactive media, and then kind of the other half of our department is more of a sort of information science kind of human factors kind of thing, which it's not necessarily the smoothest pairing between these two, but we're in the same department, and we all kind of like each other. But we still have a very kind of rather generic graduate program. It's not like the Utah program, you just do games. And the oh geez, I'm sorry, I keep trying to turn off this alarm and it keeps snoozing because the same button that says snooze on the alarm is the one that says stop for a timer.
No worries.
So like a Utah program or the Carnegie Mellon program or the USC program, those are hyper focused on what they are. Our program, we've got far fewer students, and a lot of what you would do, like especially somebody coming from U of M with the experience that you have in programming, you would go through the same 4-class cohort of 400 level courses with the best of the best undergrads. You would also be able to take courses like my advanced game programming or the modeling courses or that kind of thing. We also allow you to, like, if there's a course like say intro modeling, that you can't take because it's like 200 level, you can do it as a directed study, and so you get like 890 level credit for it, and you'll have to do something on top of what the students normally do. But this is really a place where you can focus on your art and your craft for a couple of years and really try to come out with what I call an artifact of your education, very much like the game that we had that I came out with, and we ended up a couple years later winning an award. Even before we won the award, all of us got jobs based on that project, and nobody had heard of it, but just our ability to talk about it and show it was really key. We do a thing every year. This year it's going to be a little bit different, but every year over spring break we do a West Coast trip. We take roughly 25 students to either Los Angeles or San Francisco, and we typically visit like 11 game studios in 4 days, which is kind of nuts. But I tend to lead the LA trip with my colleague Andrew. We've been to Riot. We went to Santa Monica Studio, Sony Santa Monica Studio, which is how my student got hooked up with the interview for God of War. And we tend to hit wide variety of studios. We've been to Rust Limited, which is the
Oh.
tiny company that makes, hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades, the VR game. We barely crammed into their space. We've also been to, like I said, Riot, which has like 2,000 people in the same location. And so we tend to hit a lot of different kinds of studios, and like some educational studios and other kind of things, just
Awesome.
to get a variety, as well as, of course, Imagineering, because I pull that chain, and I guess I know Imagineering. So that's another thing that we do every year when there's no COVID. And a lot of it, like I said, in looking at grad school, my questions are: A, do you need to skill up? Do you need more skills?
Yes.
B, do you need time? Do you need time to see a project through where your time is focused and you're not worried about working a job at the same time? Because I can tell you from experience, when you make games all day and you're like, I'm going to go home and make my own game, it's really hard to keep doing the same thing when you go home.
Yeah.
The third thing is, like, do you need exposure? Do you need to meet new people? Do you need to be out there more in the industry? Do you need more connections? That's another great reason to go to grad school.
Yeah.
Do you need a master's degree? Do you feel like teaching? I really needed a master's degree in order to teach full time. So that was an important thing for me. And then the other big thing that a lot of my friends in grad school were there for is, are you looking for a change of course? Like, I had a ton of people in grad school with me at Carnegie Mellon who loved programming, and I had a bunch of other people whose basically parents had made them take programming in undergrad, and they wanted something different. And grad school is a great time to find what that new direction is.
Yeah.
So anyway,
we have a lot of students who are, every year we have students who discover that their favorite kind of subset of computer science is game dev, right? And simulation. And for a school like Michigan that doesn't have a lot of those specialized courses, grad school could be a great option, particularly if we can get those in-state rates. If you're in-state,
right,
MSU
exactly,
right there.
And we've got in-state. We're not very far away.
It's just awesome.
Yeah.
But so we've gone a little bit of overtime. I apologize.
That's fine. My guy is not here to give me a new boiler yet. So
okay. We need to get back to reviewing some trailers, so we'll have to duck out kind of soon. We've got one question, and I've got another one for you. They're both fairly basic. First, from the chat, from an admission perspective, what should our students be doing if they want to apply to programs like MSU and USC, and they want to increase their odds of getting that acceptance?
Wolverine Soft.
Wolverine Soft. Heck yeah.
I mean, seriously, like good grades matter a little bit.
Projects.
Like your GRE scores matter a little bit. They matter a lot less now than they did. Generally, everybody now realizes GREs are biased. If you get a great GRE score, send your GRE scores, right? There's nothing wrong with having great GRE scores. It's just they're not like, oh, you got lower than this, no way in hell anymore. Like that's now you can still get in with no GRE score or a lower GRE score. Of course, your GPA matters. And looking at schools like NYU, probably your GPA is going to matter a little bit more. Schools that are a little bit more, I don't know, snooty, I guess. I think that talking to your professors and actually getting to know your professors matters a lot. I get people who ask me for letters of recommendation all the time, and I'm like,
yeah,
I know what you look like, but like working with your professors, if you do any kind of like undergraduate research, that's generally very good.
Yes.
Though not specifically for the kind of programs that we're talking about, but like any grad school would be happy with undergrad research. But for both grad school and for work, showing that you've done projects outside of assigned projects, outside of class. I'm sure Austin's giving you great projects to do in class, but things you do outside of class can mean a lot more to people when they're looking at bringing you into a grad program or hiring you. Yep. And don't piss anybody off. Don't be a jerk.
Yes. In Wolverine Soft Studio, right, the MDP, you can actually get course credit for building some substantial extracurricular projects with a team of 20 extra students, right? So that's really cool. Make projects. And then one final question. It's the same one I asked you last time. And it's ironic. Last time when I asked this, you said that you had been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. and I'm just about to beat it now, several months later on my own. So the question is, what kind of games are you playing right now, and why?
Oh my god. Okay, so first I got to tell you where I stopped Final Fantasy Remake.
Okay.
When Shinra's trying to bring down the plate, and
Yes.
Cloud has run up, and Tifa's like, I gotta go, I gotta fight. And Aerith is like, oh, I'm gonna take Biggs home because he hurt his ankle. And then the game's
Yeah.
like, you want to follow Aerith and Biggs home to see how his ankle got hurt. I was like,
I,
no,
I,
oh, come on.
I can see why you stopped there.
How much longer is that? Because like I was just like, I just
It's
stopped.
okay. The game is very padded, and this is not that is not the final moment of padding that you will hit.
No,
Not by far.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. An annoying blonde dude on a motorcycle. I don't even know.
Roche,
But
yeah.
yes, yeah. I gotta be honest. My escape has been Forza Horizon 4.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I can just like I hadn't like it was free on Microsoft Game Pass, and I
Yes.
was like, whatever. And I was like, oh right, driving games are awesome. It's
Yep.
very clear what you need to do. It requires high precision and some strategy,
Yep.
but I can just pick it up. I can do a race for 5 minutes, and I'm done. And that's cool.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's
unfortunately,
awesome.
Forza corrupted my save file about a week ago, which I'm not super happy about. So I had to start over, but they're supposed to give me something back. I don't know. But that and man, I have to like Astroneer is so good. A good friend of mine is actually the producer that kind of, if you watch the documentary, she's the one, Veronica, who went in and kind of saved the team when they had a great project, but they had no plan. And so,
Got you.
but
Okay.
I love Astroneer. It's free on Microsoft Game Pass. If you get into it and you really start to like it and play it with a friend, just pay the $10 to get in a Trado server, and it makes the frame rate 4 times better. The game is a much better experience. But me and a buddy over the course